Hi y'all, welcome and welcome back. In this video, we'll have a brief overview of consequentialism. Now that we've completed our study of metaethics and value theory, we move on to normative ethics, the area of ethics that asks, how should we act? Normative ethics is the branch of ethics that proposes universal systems for moral decision-making. In this video, we'll examine the first major family of ethical theories that we'll cover under normative ethics. Consequentialism. So, there are three main focal lenses in Western normative ethics, and these are virtue ethics, deontological ethics, and consequentialism, or consequentialist ethics. It's easiest for me to remember this by thinking about it as character, code, and consequences, because virtue ethics are character-based ethical systems. Deontological systems are those that are code or rules-based systems, and as we'll see in this presentation, the consequentialist systems are based on the consequences or the results of your actions. So what is consequentialism? Consequentialism is a family of ethical theories that say that the morality of actions depends on the results or consequences of the actions. The morally correct choice is the option with the best overall consequences. This family of ethical theories includes theories like egoism, altruism, and utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is the most influential and widely studied version of consequentialism, and that is the version that will be our focus. So, as we learned earlier, utilitarianism actually came from hedonism. So how do we get from hedonism to utilitarianism? Well, remember that hedonism claims that pleasure or happiness is intrinsically good and pain is intrinsically bad. And remember also, as we saw earlier, Epicurus argued this in antiquity in ancient Greece. Many centuries later, Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill revive that core insight, but they apply it socially and politically. So when hedonism is combined with a common good, we get utilitarianism, which asks us to maximize happiness and minimize suffering for all affected. Jeremy Bentham was a legal reformer and the founder of utilitarianism. He wanted to change public policy through ethics. According to Bentham, nature has placed mankind under the governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. He thought that pleasure and pain are the basic motivators of human life for all humans, and he said that all pleasures count equally. He also proposed a hedonic calculus to measure happiness. In equalizing pleasure, Bentham sought to equalize the treatment of people as well. Ahead of his time, Bentham argued for women's rights and animals' rights. For him, when it comes to public policy, the guiding aim is the broadest spectrum of happiness overall, not just individual preference. John Stuart Mill, Bentham's student and godson, agreed that maximizing overall well-being is the correct aim. But, unlike Bentham, Mill argued that not all pleasures are equal. He said that those pleasures that are intellectual, imaginative, and moral pleasures are higher pleasures, whereas those that give you only bodily gratification are considered lower pleasures. So Mill insists that the quality of happiness matters, not just the quantity. Mill's main moral rule is his principle of utility, and this is epitomized by this statement that he made. Actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, wrong as they tend to produce the reverse of happiness. So now we know Mill's principle of utility, we'll take a look at how we're going to apply it. Here we have a 5-step method that we will use for Mill's approach. This method is not one that was created by Mill. It's actually from Russ Schaefer Landau's book, The Fundamentals of Ethics, but it's aligned with Mill's approach, and it is a great way for us to apply Mill's approach to fact patterns in a systematic way. So our first step in the 5-step method is to look at a situation and identify everything that's intrinsically good in that situation and identify everything that's intrinsically bad in that situation. Next, we're going to list all of the options of the actions that we can take under those circumstances. Third, we need to think about the potential outcomes of our actions. What do we think will be the results of those different options that we have for actions that we can take in that scenario. Fourth, we need to balance the potential good versus bad results for each different option, each different action that we could take. And five, the last step is that we choose what Russ Schaefer-Landau calls the optimific action, or the best action that will result in the best balance of good over bad results, so that you will end up with the greatest good for the greatest number with the least amount of suffering. Consequentialist systems tend to be quite popular with a lot of people, and it's helpful for us to take a look at this to see why consequentialism has had such a lasting appeal. So, consequentialist theories are clear and results-oriented. We judge actions by what they actually do in the world, not by the intentions behind those actions, or some kind of tradition or some kind of virtue system. Consequentialist systems are universally applicable, so we can use that one standard of the best overall consequences for each and every case. It's democratic. Each person's well-being counts the same, and that fits in with modern ideas about equality and fairness. It's practical. Policymakers, medical ethicists, and everyday decision makers often reason this way without even realizing it. So these strengths make consequentialism intuitive, especially when we want ethical theories that can guide collective choices in a pluralistic society. But it's not all sunshine and roses with consequentialism. There are some serious difficulties. Let's look at those challenges and criticisms. First, there's the issue of predictability. Since outcomes are uncertain, how do we know what will really maximize happiness? Second, we have the issues of justice and rights. Focusing solely on the totals of happiness can justify harming an innocent person if it benefits many others. Third, we have to look at motives. Consequentialism can dismiss the moral importance of intent or character. And finally, moral demandingness. Consequentialism can require enormous personal sacrifice for the sake of others' well-being. We'll explore these critiques in detail later, especially through the trolley problem, unintended consequences, and the dirty hands dilemma. And if any of you are fans of Game of Thrones, I have a series of videos on problems with consequentialism in Game of Thrones. In that later video on problems with consequentialism, and in each of those videos on Game of Thrones, we're going to see that there are these three critical issues that we'll examine. Three pressure tests for consequentialism that appear throughout modern ethics. First, the trolley problem. The question of, are we going to sacrifice an innocent person to save 5 others? Utilitarianism says yes, but many people find this troubling. Second, the problem of unintended consequences. Consequentialism doesn't care about intentions, only outcomes. So what if you end up with unintended consequences? Third, there's the problem of dirty hands. In politics and war, can causing harm be justified by larger benefits? These push us to clarify what we mean by best overall outcomes. All right, y'all, that's all for now. If you're interested in more videos about consequentialism, take a look at our playlist posted on the channel. If you're interested in other videos about philosophy and ethics, please take a look at our channel for more videos. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.